Hello everybody, welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Once again, we are doing career mode, and I have my own company, Premier Air Charter, and I have a Cessna 172. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but we got to get some cargo out of here in Red Wing, just outside of Minneapolis, and we're going up to Park Falls, I believe is where we're headed. Very blustery day. It is snowing, starting to snow. We're probably going to be on an IFR flight plan. Let's get started. All right, let's walk out here to the airplane. You'll notice it is completely white. And like I had talked about before, I was saving up all my money for the caravan. I got all of the money I needed for the caravan, and it was patched out. So it was gone. I actually had it in my grasp. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy it early in the morning. And then, well, I went back to make a video on it, and she gone. So what are you going to do? Let's hop into the airplane here. One thing I love is having the Navigraph option now on our little EFB here on the apps. If you have it installed, it is fantastic, I must say. Love having that. So I have some preset views here. Got the wing and the nose here. And pre-flight always starts inside of the airplane, not outside of the airplane. And the first thing we do is we come out here, and we're going to get the master battery on, put that into the arm position. We're going to get all of our lights on for the walk around inspection. We'll even get that pitot heat on so we can tap that and see what, make sure it's working. Put our flaps all the way down, and then make sure that that guy's on both. And then we are going to hop out. A big thanks to Thrustmaster for sponsoring today's video. You'll see me using the HOTAS 1 for today's flights. And we're going to start our walk around inspection back here by the tail. Hello, you just walked right through there, no problem. You see right there, Premier Air Charter, white on white. I didn't get a choice on that, so you just get what you get. We do have boxes in there, so the cargo is in there and secure. I own this airplane now, so that's the reason why we're doing a walk around. You want to make sure that it's all working as it's intended before you go flying. You don't want to find out about a problem later on, that's for certain. We'll check the flap here. We'll make sure that the screws were all together, and they were. We'll go over here to this aileron. We'll go up and down so we can actually flip it up, and you can look for the little cotter pins under there and make sure that those are all good to go. Making sure that the light's working. Lights are very dim, especially during the daylight in the sim. We're going to come down here. We're going to check the tire, and we're going to check the strut as well. And then we are going to come over here. We're going to check the oil, make sure she has oil in it. Yes, we do have oil in there. Fantastic. Come down here, check the nose gear, and then also the struts right there. Make sure it's good to go, and it is. Remove that cover there as we walk around the front of the airplane. We would use our hands to kind of feel the edge of the prop, make sure there's nothing terrible there happening with it. Come over here, remove the static port guy there, and then the pitot tube there. And we touch the pitot tube to make sure it has heat to it. That's why we turned it on inside the airplane. Remove those chocks, check the tires here, and also up there on that strut, and it's green as well. Landing lights are working just fine there. Nav lights, strobe. Same thing on this side. We'd check the aileron, make sure it's good to go. The only thing missing in this walk around is the ability to hop up on the wing strut, look down into those tanks for fuel. I would hop up on this little guy right here and look down in there to make sure there's fuel visible there. And then underneath here, you see all these little things on the wing here. We have all of these little guys, and those are little spigot pieces. You take a GATS jar, it's called. It's got a long protruding piece on it. Pushes in there, fuel comes spitting out in there. You make sure it has no contaminants in it or any water in the fuel as well. So I would say that the pre-flight is good to go. Let's hop up into the airplane. So after pre-flight is all finished there, you would just go master battery would be into the off position. And the reason for this is because you'd start your checklist with pre-flight inspection and all that stuff, make sure it's good to go. And we're going to do exactly that. Let's make sure our trim is set for takeoff. I like it right about just above the triangle there. All right, sweet. We'll go master battery on, arm for you, beacon light is on. We do the same thing that we've always done. Fuel pump comes on, and we're going to push that in. We would see fuel flow, but we don't see it here in the sim. We'd pull it back all the way out. We'd turn the fuel pump off, and then we would say, clear prop. Turn the key. Once it catches, Full forward on that guy.
Are you ready?
Avionics are on.
It's Emily, your dispatcher, you know?
Yep,
Just
hello.
a quick reminder about today's job. You're carrying boxes of goods on this flight.
Okay.
Standard shipment for our partner based in Park Falls, but super urgent. You must reach Park Falls Muni ASAP. Our skids are built to handle slight turbulence, but maintain a constant flight speed and adapt to changing conditions. A prompt and safe delivery is key for the success of our business. All relevant information is in your flight packet, which is uploaded on your map as a reference. Have a safe flight.
All right, thank you very much for that. Okay, so altimeter is 3037. You can see sometimes when you load in, you're just not gonna get a flight plan. For some reason, some of these are borked and they don't work. So all we have to do is come over here. I'm gonna look on the flight planner and see where we're going. We're going to KPKF is where we're going. So we can just come down here. We're gonna go to the direct to, and we're gonna put KPKF in here. So we're gonna write to this guy, to K, and then PKF. So I'm gonna fill this out real fast. All right, Park Falls Municipal, hit enter on that, activate that. Now we have a GPS thing working, and I can even load a procedure in there, and we'll do that later if we need to. If it's VFR where we're going, we'll just cancel the flight plan, the IFR flight plan, but for now, we're just gonna roll with this. So that's all good to go in there. That's the simple way to fix that. All right, we're over here on the ramp. We're gonna be looking like a right turn out to runway 27, I believe, depending on what the winds are doing here. Let's have a look at the weather. And all you gotta do is just click on weather here, and you have the meter here, the meter. Winds are calm, so we can take off our runway 9er, but we'll see what they actually say to us. They might ding us if we make a pilot decision, heaven forbid. Let's call for a taxi. There we go.
Kilo Romeo Golf Kilo traffic Cessna, November 6, 6550, is taxiing to runway 9er.
Keto heat's on. It is cold. And also another thing you can do is when it's cold out like this, you come over here to the cabin heat and pull that out. That's going to help you whenever you start to see icing happen on the outside of the airplane, which it might. It's negative 13C right here, right now. So pretty darn cold out there. That's for certain. We're going to release those parking brakes. Looks like it's a left turn out of here. And we'll see what runway they actually want us to go to. So let's add a little bit of power here. You see, with the Thrustmaster HOTAS 1, pretty simple. You just use the twist grip here on the actual stick, and you can press the brakes on this top button here. It's a little herky-jerky sometimes, but like I said, it's better than an Xbox controller. All right, hold short's right up here, so let's see what runway they're going to give us with winds being calm. It's really hard to say. We'll do our run-up and all that stuff in a little bit. Make sure that we're set for success here on today's flight. Pull our power back here, and we're going to be going, looks like to the north east, so we're going to be on the odd end. We'll see if we can get an IFR clearance and all that stuff after we depart. All right, come to a stop here, and we'll do our announced takeoff. We go park and brake on, 17 on RPM.
November 6, 6550. Taking off runway 9er north departure.
1700 looks good right there. We're checking for fuel flow is good there. Oil pressure's good. Oil temp is coming up. We got good vacuum there as well. Plenty of fuel on board. We're going to check that left mag. Watch for the drop there. Back to both. It comes back up. Then we're going to check the right side mag. And there's the 50 drop. We're good. Back to both. And then I'm going to box the controls. Left, back, right, forward, neutral, and using the right and the left and right rudder as I was doing that. All right, let's pull it back down to idle here and release the brakes. We're going to go ahead and go landing, strobe light on, taxi light can come off, and we're pretty much ready to go flying here today. Like I said, winds shouldn't be bad, so we shouldn't even need any flaps. Plenty of runway here. We got 5,000 feet. So that's not a problem. Remember, you can always hide those by just right-clicking the front there of the stick. We'll line up on runway 9er. And we're going to go ahead and bring up that power nice and smooth. Maintain center line with the rudder. There's that P factor kicking in there, kicking the airplane over. And we're looking for 55 knots for rotation. Hello. Getting light on the wheels there. Hello. Whoa, hello. That was herky-jerky. All right, that's all right. Let's maintain our runway heading here. Looking for about 75 knots on the climb out here. Best rate. That we be in Y there. Hopefully this layer isn't too bad. I'm bringing that nose up. Bring it down here. We're going to pitch for that airspeed 75. I want 1,500 feet. Turning crosswind now. Fly to Park Falls, climb to 2,500 feet. Okay, so we're not on an IFR flight plan, but we are instrument rated. We'll be just fine here. And I'm going to go ahead and set up our autopilot here. So I'm going to go ahead and fly with my left hand. That's what you would do in real life anyway. I'm going to roll out on this heading here. We're climbing at about 80 knots. That's actually pretty good. Keep that nose up just like that. We're coming up on 2,500 feet, but we're going up higher than that. We don't know what the clouds are like above there. We're going to check that in a second. Like I said, we're going northeast, so we'll be probably 3,500. We'll start with that, and we'll see how it goes from there. So 3,500 there. We're going to be on nav mode for that. You can see the flight director coming to life there. And then we're just going to go ahead and turn the autopilot on now. And let's get the heading bug over to the right now. That should pick up the GPS, which it just did there. And we should be up on the nose here. Down on the nose, actually. As it's intercepting there. Into the clouds we go. We want about 80 knots on our climb here. We don't have to bring up any flaps or anything like that because we didn't use flaps on takeoff. And we're about to hit these boxes here. We're at 3,500 now, so we're just going to be just under the cloud deck. And we got 117 nautical miles, so we got a while to fly. So we're actually going to go higher than that. We're going to go up to 5,500. Turn off the altitude. We're in pitch mode. Nose up to about 500 feet per minute. If it'll do it. We are in turbulence right now. There we go. Down a little bit more there. That's actually pretty decent. We're not going too slow or anything like that. And all is well. We can hide the mission steps. We don't need to see that. We know where we're going. But let's look at that weather again. Because we had 10 miles of visibility clear skies. Not the case. So I wouldn't say it were VFR or anything there. I would call this IFR. But sometimes the sim is not going to give us real world weather. And that is the case. It does give you real world weather, but it's from earlier in the day. So that's what we got going on there. We're going to climb up to 5,500. And we are picking up a lot of ice right now, so hopefully we're going to get through this cloud layer soon. Like I said, this is the ice that you're seeing here on the edge of the window frame here. But we do have that cabin heat on, and this is a bug in the airplane. It's showing the icing that's supposed to be on this window here down here. So that's a bug with the airplane. Keeping an eye on our speed here, making sure that we're not icing up too bad here. It looks like we're okay. We have that pitot heat on as well. Let's keep an eye on those wings. So we have some ice here on the window, but on the strut itself, it looks pretty good right now, and I think we're going to get out of these clouds soon. All right, we're going to continue up to 7,500 to try to get out of the clouds here and the icing. It's negative 13C right here, and we're just breaking out on the tops. Look at that. Beautiful. climbing out at about 100 knots here, and we're going up to 7,500. So we'll be well above this cloud layer, which is great. And I don't think we have anybody to talk to ATC-wise. I mean, we could tune to Minneapolis approach and do request flight following or anything like that, but I'm not really worried about that for now. I kind of like that they're not going to be barking at us the whole flight. Almost to 7,500 feet. As we're getting closer to that, we're going to come over here to our EFB, and we're going to look at the flight planner again. You can see they want us on runway 18 into the airport. So we're going to come here to the procedure page, and then we're going to go down to select approach, hit enter, and then we have the options here. RNAV GPS 18, that's the one we want. We hit enter on that, and then we look at the vectors, and you can see the vectors that they wanted us on earlier was out to, it looks like there's cabs through there, but Phantom is what they're using. So you can do Phantom IAF, which is the initial approach fix, and we're going to go down to that, hit enter on that. Minimums, I'm going to look and see what the minimums are for that. So let's go backspace on this. We'll do KPKF, APKF, Park Falls. We're going to open up that. We're going to go to the approach page, and we want the RNAV 18 approach. We're going to open that guy up and have a look at it here. You can see the minimums are 2020 on that. So CAPSU's 3,200 feet on the way in, 3,300 at Phantom, and that's what we're going to be doing. So CAPSU is going to be the final approach fix there at 3,200, but 3,300 at Phantom, and we can see that it's going to be 2020. So we're going to put 2020 into the minimums. So we'll put that to the Barrow. We'll do 2020 on this. 2020, hit enter on that and activate. So now it's going to fly us to Phantom direct. We're 105 nautical miles from Phantom, so that works. Hit the flight plan page. That goes away. That's how you do that. Pretty darn simple. Over here on the right-hand side, since we're at our cruise, we're going to go to the engine page, lean page, and we're going to lean the airplane out. You see the fuel flow right here. We're getting 15 gallons per hour, and that's just not that great. So to lean the engine, you just pull on the mixture, and you're going to see that is going to start to increase. We're going to get better fuel mileage. And what I do is I pull it out till it starts to almost run rough. There we go. Pretty much quit almost there, but see, we're getting 8.5 now, and we're at 2,500 RPM. So that's where you want to be, about 2,500 RPM, and pull that out to where you're just about cutting the engine off, and that is how you get better gas mileage. You're going to see it decrease. I'm sorry, I said increase. I think I said that on the first video too when I did this, but yeah, you want it to go down. So now we're getting 8.5 gallons per hour instead of 15. So we're saving a lot of fuel by doing that. And if you're in career mode and you own your own airplane, you need to be managing these systems because you don't want to have to pay for more fuel if you don't need it. Still cruising along here at 7,500 feet, 99 miles from our initial approach fix. And I wanted to show you something really quick here, how we get the wind indicator here, because we're getting 17 knots off the left-hand side. You go to PFD options and then wind, and you have options 1, option 2, I like option 2, and then you have option 3 as well, which tells 340 at 18 knots. I can usually guess where it's coming from, so I usually go option 2. Just so I know where the wind is coming from, especially when you're on final. It's really helpful. Hit back on that. These are all options here. If you're in the UK or you're in Europe or something like that that's using hectopascals, you can go into alt units, and then you can go to HPA right there, and that's how you swap between those. You can even go to meters if you wanted to, instead of altitude being in feet. Depends on where you're at flying around in the world. I think it's in Japan or something they use meters, or maybe it's China, I don't remember. Somewhere in Asia it does. But that's how you get those things. And then over here, another big one is to go into system, or off of engine here, go back, and then we go to map options and NextRad. That's how you get your weather radar. Although it doesn't seem to be working very well. We saw a little bit on the way out. No, it is. Okay. So now you can see we have some snow moving in up north here. We're going to keep an eye on as well. And then on the way into the airport, it's going to be interesting. You see the actual approach is now loaded into our arrival airport, and TOD giving us VNAV for the top of descent even. Pretty darn slick, if you ask me. Another thing I want to show you guys is the speed tape here. You see how we're in the green and we have the yellow there? Same thing, if you look at the standby instruments here, you have the same thing here. So in the 6-pack that I flew, we had this here. So this is what I went off of. But the yellow doesn't mean you can't fly into it. I think that's a misconception when you're brand new to this airplane. The yellow arc is basically just saying that it's a caution speed range, they call it. But you can only fly it in smooth air. If you're experiencing turbulence, you cannot fly into the yellow. However, it's very smooth here right now. We're not going to get into the yellow arc. I mean, look at the 17 knot headwind over here. We're doing currently 103 indicated, but we're doing, well, there you go, 103 over the ground. So we're not even getting a good ground speed higher than what we're actually seeing here on the tape. But that's what that is about. But there's a misconception. You can't fly in the yellow. I don't think the sim dings you for it, for overspeeding or anything like that. But the biggest thing is the VNE. You don't want to cross over into the red. That's never exceed. Don't do it. As we're cruising along here, we can talk a little bit about the simulator. It goes without saying, you know, even this many days after release, there are still people having issues with the sim. I've been very lucky. I haven't had any major problems except for day one, not being able to get in and play, which is fine. I was expecting that. That's why I waited. But the thing is, there's a lot of people that still can't get into the sim, number one, or have to use a VPN to get in. And that is just not good. So when I'm sitting here making videos on Flight Sim 2024, don't think I'm just like, oh, hey, you know, everything's great and peachy here. The sim does have flaws for sure. I am confident that it will become something incredible soon. But as of right now, if you're on the fence, you know, if you're on Game Pass, you have nothing to lose basically. But if I were you, I would look at getting the standard edition, because you can always upgrade the edition later. Well, after the marketplace comes out. I think them not having the marketplace on day one was kind of a no, but they created issues, and I understand why they don't have it, but I would like to have it open. We all would, but there are fixes coming. I saw that they're supposed to have a big patch coming out here on December 9th. I think there's one before it on the 3rd. So in a couple days. We also have the dev stream on Wednesday. We'll find out more information on what's actually going on with the sim, the state of everything and the servers. But I haven't had any issues with that. The other big thing is, like I talked about during the last video when we were driving the boat around, was that the world updates just aren't streaming correctly. They're just not. Because you can look at places like Miami or New York or whatever, and you can see a stark difference between 2020 and 2024. So those things are not currently there. And until they are, I can't be like, hey, you know, this is something you should be jumping into head first whenever you have 2020 and it's working perfectly fine. So I understand everybody's frustrations with it and all that stuff. However, I I'm just not a person who gets that upset about video games. I don't make that kind of content here on the channel where we just sit there and crap on a new game that came out. That's not what I do. If I don't like a game or something like that, I won't play it. But I've been having a ball with career mode. It's a little grindy, yes, but to me, it's so nice to take a step back from flying tube liners, airliners, VAT sim, all that stuff, and going back to the basics of flight, you know? All the things that you learn in a J3 Cub or a Cessna 172, that all translates to every airplane you'll ever fly. In fact, it'll make you a better pilot. If you learn how to fly these smaller airplanes, you'll be a better pilot down the road instead of just punching in numbers and following checklists and going off of what other people are teaching you. You're not really getting the whole fundamentals of flight. So I think that's really, really good. I know some people want me to do the playthrough of the training modules. I do plan to do that, so I will do that. I had a lot of people asking for that. But I've been really enjoying my career, and it's all about the journey, you know. I'm not sitting here speeding up sim time and all that. I'm doing this in real time. Look, we're 70 whatever miles out still. I'm doing it in real time because every flight I've made in this sim in career mode is super memorable to me. It's not like a blur and I don't remember it or anything like that. It feels like actual general aviation where you're going to a new place. Now, something I would really, really like to see is stop being in such a hurry to shut the engine down when we get to our destination. You know, I understand the boxes need to get, you know, where they need to go, but I want the ability to be able to get out of the airplane when we're done and shut down so you can walk around, kind of breathe a little bit and take in the new sights in the area and your surroundings. Because let's be honest, when you're on short final to landing, a lot of that you're missing out of your peripheral because you're so focused on what you're doing to land the airplane. So I think that would be something really, really cool, is to allow us to walk around freely and just, you know, take in the sights and understand we're in a different place than where we just departed, instead of just going, I'm going to this place, I'm going to this place. I know there's people speed running and having fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's hilarious, and it's, you know, exploiting all these things in a single player game. It's not a big deal to me, but I've really, really been enjoying this. And if it's something that you're interested in, I think the training there is sufficient to get you where you need to go. Other than that, you're gonna have to go to other YouTube videos and learn a little bit more about airplane systems and stuff like that. But I've been having an absolute blast. Doesn't mean everybody's been having a good time with it, but I have. And that's where my mind is on it, because I get a lot of people asking me questions about it. That's how I feel about it. Some other things to talk about with career mode is the insurance. When you start your own company for the first time, the insurance is bugged currently. So if you're buying the mid-tier or the high-tier insurance, you're going to lose a lot of money. I'm being honest about that. Until they fix that, I wouldn't even mess with that. I would just get the basic insurance that doesn't cover the loss of the airplane. It's going to do you a lot of favors as far as saving money. Later on, you can crew your airplane. So if you buy another airplane and while you're in career mode, you have to be in career mode, not away or the sim being shut down. You can hire a crew to fly your airplane. However, they will damage it. They're not the greatest pilots, so keep that in mind. You don't want to have to pay for all the repairs as well. So those are some caveats as far as starting your own company, although it's so worth it because you start making hand over fist in money compared to what you were as an employee now that you're freelance. Another thing I've noticed on here, and I hope to see fixed soon, is you'll notice in some of the airplanes it's fine, but you see this little, looks like a UAP, a little circle with a dot in the center there. That's what happens whenever the GPS loses GPS signal, basically. You don't have your little airplane symbol. And on this G1000, on the G1000 package that I've seen so far, it's missing the airplane symbol, which it's hard to tell the orientation sometimes without the simple airplane there. So hopefully working title to get that fixed. I'm sure they will. But yeah, that little donut there that you're seeing there, it's not a normal thing unless you're losing that GPS satellite data. So that's what's going on with that. So let's have a little briefing here real quick. We've got 12-1, 14th of May, 2021. It hasn't been updated anytime soon, but we are on the latest and greatest Navigraph AIRAC cycle as far as charts goes. Our nav final approach course is 184, 3200 at Kabsu. Our final approach fix there. LNAV MDA is 2020. That's what we did there. You see the airport elevation is 1,500 feet, so we're looking about 1,000 over that. And that makes sense. Brings it all together, right? Pattern altitude being 1,000 above it. MSA around runway 18 is 4,100. Minimum safe altitude is what that is. It tells you a little bit about the transition level here if you're new to the U.S. And it's in inches, all that stuff. If you look down here, you see here's we're going to come here to Phantom. We're going to make that turn. We're going to go to Kabsu. We'll pretty much vector ourselves over to Phantom while we do that. We come down here, we look at this. This is the vertical profile here on the way into the airport. M being the missed approach. You know, that's what we just talked about there. So 4 miles to Phantom, and then it's 184 degrees to Kabsu there at 3,200. And then it's a 3.05 degree path slope down to the runway. So that's pretty standard on most of these airports. It's a 3-degree glide path that you're seeing there on the glide path when we get that, but also when we see the VASI or PAPI lights. We look down here at the bottom. You can see here we got PAPIs on the left-hand side. So we'll have PAPI lights on the left-hand side. Those 4 lights, you know, two white, 2 reds, what you want. 2 red, 2 white. And that's just a quick reference to the missed approach procedure, 3,200 direct to Ferrum and hold. Ferrum being another intersection that you could punch in, and then that would be the racetrack pattern to do a hold if you had to do that. Procedures are not authorized for arrival on the grass V217 northbound, so northwestbound. So those are just little things that it pops out. You'll see this little white arrow here, 3049. The highest point in the area is this tower at 3,049. Over here you have a tower at 1,920 feet. So those are big things to keep in mind. Procedure not authorized for arrival, blah, blah, blah. We just talked about. That's the same kind of deal there. I'm just kind of showing you a little bit more of what is on these approach plates, so it makes more sense whenever I'm doing something and you're understanding it. Because this is based on the minimums and all that. That's for another time. You don't have to worry about that. But basics on the chart, that's how we're reading it. So I'm going to change something up here with the approach. So we're not just doing a real sharp turn. We're going to look over here on the chart, and you see how we have nuzzle over here. If we do that, we go direct to nuzzle, and then we go Phantom. We're going to have a much more squared off approach. So I'm going to go with that instead. So we'll go to nuzzle, hit enter on that, Barrow 2020, and then activate that. Now we're going to nuzzle, and it's going to make more sense here if I zoom out. You see we're going to go up there, and then we're going to go over to Phantom. So this way we're squared up for the approach. Since we're going to be probably in the clouds on the way down, I'm not sure what we're looking at there because the real world weather is not helping us out since the sim is using older weather data. And that's another thing that I'm not a huge fan of here in career mode is we can't fly real world time, real world weather. It's always based on like 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, whatever it wants to, and then it uses the weather from earlier in that day. So you're kind of up a creek if you don't have the correct weather data. You're just kind of going off the seat of your pants, and that's what we're doing here today. All right, we're about 20 miles out from nuzzle, so we're going to go ahead and start our descent down to 3,300. So 3,000, 300. And I'm going to go ahead and kill the altitude there on the autopilot. And then we're going to go down a couple clicks here, or nose down, for about 500 feet per minute. And we'll pull our power back as well. So we're going to pull that power out just a little bit, about 2,400 RPM. Keep the nose down attitude here to about 500 feet per minute. A little bit more than that. There we go, 450, 500. That's actually pretty good right there. We're going to maintain about 110 knots or so here on the descent. And the biggest thing is you don't want to fly into that yellow arc when you're in your descent, because you don't know what you're going to expect. You know, when we're descending down into the clouds, into what is ahead, it could be turbulent. So we don't want to be caught in a position like that. So that's pretty much how you do winter ops in general aviation here in the career mode for the most part. So don't be afraid just because the weather isn't the greatest out, and I know winter's coming for a lot of people. It's already here for a bunch. You're going to get this a lot in career mode, so especially if you have your IFR rating. So you just make sure you have that pitot heat on, because if it's not on, that thing freezes up. You're not going to get any airspeed indication out of that as it gunks up that whole thing. And also make sure your cabin heat is turned on so you don't get ice all inside of here. You'll get on the edges. You can see it up here on the outside. I mean, it is still cold. We're at 6,800 feet now, and it is 15 degrees, negative 15 Celsius, sorry, outside air temperature there. So it is cold as far as that goes. All right, we've started our descent into the clouds here. Mixture I put back to full rich here as we're at a lower altitude now to 3,300. Watching our airspeed here about 110 knots. We know there was a tower on this approach. We're going to be flying nearby Nuzzle there. It's 1,965 feet. Not a big problem there. 1 to go. So 1,000 to go. When you see it flash like that, it's letting you know, it's an alerter letting you know, hey, you got 1,000 feet to go and you're going to be at 3,300. The good news is I think we're going to be out of the clouds. We picked up some turbulence down here, lower to the ground. That was expected, but I'm just happy to be out of the clouds. We're not picking up ice whenever we're below them like this. Still maintaining our speed right now, even though it's bumpy. Right now, it looks like we're going to be able to see the airport pretty easily. It should be just off to our right-hand side there. But look at the cloud holes shooting sunlight down onto the ground here. Very cool looking. And look at all the bugs and all the dirt that hit the windshield on this flight. That's something that's really cool. It does change from when you start to whenever you're done. And we're currently 6 miles to Nuzzle, and then the airplane will make that right-hand turn for the right base for the runway. All right, so we have a caution happening here. It's just letting us know our fuel is getting low. And I was expecting that, since in career mode, they don't give you a whole lot of fuel. You can use a button, you can map it to add fuel like 25%. I have it set to my star key on my keyboard if I need it, but we're going to be just fine. That's why we lean the airplane out. Hey, look at that. The turbulence is starting to get better. So since visibility isn't really bad, and the further we go this way it's going to be, we can change things up here. We go to our flight plan, and we can go direct to Cavsu from here. So let's go ahead and go to Cavsu. We're going to hit enter on that, or we're going to hit direct on it, sorry, and then hit enter and then activate. The airplane's going to start its turn over to Cavsu now. We're going to shoot the approach from Cavsu, and Cavsu's going to be 3,200. So we just need to lose 100 feet. Very easy to do. 100 feet down, altitude off, pitch mode. Pitch it down just a little bit, and we'll grab 3,200, no problem. And now we're going direct to Kavsu now. It's going to save us a little bit of time, and we are on that low fuel, so I don't want to mess around too much with it in case we're burning a lot more than we think, which would be a bad thing. But currently now we're 6.5 nautical miles from Kavsu. We are clear for the approach, so we're going to go ahead and arm the approach by hitting the APR button here on the left side. And you're going to see it right there. It says GP that lights up in white. And we also have GPS here, but now it's going to follow GPS on a Kavsu out there to Dakva and then to the runway 18. But we have it armed. We can even see the glide path starting to come down a little bit here on this side. So the boxes will change as well. Airplane's doing its thing. We're still looking good here. Man, it is getting cold in here quick. -12 right now still, but we've got to get on the ground soon. And we have the glide path captured in green, AP and GPS all the way across the board there. Looking good. Pull our power back a little bit more as we get to the final approach fix. Once we get to the final approach fix, we're going to go ahead and get it under 110 knots. I'm going to introduce flap 10. But yeah, I'm still glad we're doing the instrument approach because you can't see the airport very well here. Let's see if we have anything to say to them. Yep, we can tell them that we're on the way in, so we don't get deemed points for that. Let's pull our power back here.
Kilo Papa Kilo Foxtrot traffic Cessna November 6 655
3 miles out.
0 tree miles north 2,700 feet inbound to land runway
Below 110, we're going to put our first notch flaps in. Add our power back about 1,500 RPM, looking good there. You can see the airport right off our nose here. Looks like the wind's going to be a tailwind from the back right there. That's the problem with the career mode. They have you landing in tailwinds a lot, but that might switch the lower we get. We'll see if that's the case. About 80 knots is what we're shooting for here. We'll be in the white arc before we put our next set of flaps in. And we're there, so we're going to let them know we're on final and flaps 20. We're going to get to 75 knots here or so. And autopilot's going to come off.
Kilo Papa
My
Kilo
airplane.
Foxtrot traffic Cessna November 6 6550 is on final runway 18 to land.
And final on final, flaps 30. Yeah, the wind is dying down. I think once we get below these trees, it won't be so bad too. Let's add that power back in here. Pitch for the airspeed. Remember, power for altitude, pitch for airspeed here. Looking for about 65 knots on final. As we come over, that is a huge tower right there. That was not on the on the docket today. That was a little scary. Add our power back in. Pitch for 65. Yeah, it's bumpy down here, but winds. Yeah, still going to be a tailwind landing, sadly. That's all right. It's getting better the closer we get to the ground here. Got the runway made. Not worried about that. Never saw any PAPI lights here. That was a lie. Pull our power out over the threshold. Bring the nose up. There we go. Whoa. Hello. Hello. A little more left there. Okay, now the wind's changed on us to a direct crosswind. So we own the airplane. We're not going to be buttering these things, man. Not in this weather. Just get it down. And we need to stop at the hold short. All right. I can't say it is a lot easier on my TCA Boeing yoke and my TPRs. A lot easier to fly than this, but this gets the job done. All right, we're going to go over here to the right-hand side. Happy to be on the ground, all in one piece. Got the cargo where it needed to go. All right. Come to a stop here. And we'll let them know we're taxiing.
Kilo Papa Kilo Foxtrot traffic Cessna November 6
Taxi light on.
6550
Landing strobe comes
taxiing
off.
to parking.
Give a little bit of power. Over here on the right is where we're going. Watch out for this guy on the in the van there. I don't know what they're doing. Not sure at all. But yeah, if we were descending through those clouds and we were picking a lot of ice up on the way in, we did pick up a lot of ice still, but if it was worse than that, we would have had a higher descent rate to get down lower to the warmer air. All right. Over this way. Come to a stop right there. All right. Set the parking brake. Shut down. We're going to go ahead and kill the mixture. And then it would be avionics off, key to the left, master off, off. We'll see if we can do it. We got it. Right at the last second. Look at the ice on that airplane on the way in, man. It was crazy. We got 90, 197 there. 100% on the aviator performance. We got an S tier on it. Wonderful. And we'll hit next. Let's see how much money we made. That's the big one. Airplane definitely needs to warm up. We made $108,000 off that. You see the difference now? The base income, the reputation, the bad weather bonus, the no skip bonus. It all comes together and you can make a lot of money when you have your own company now. Reputation update. We're getting closer to that S tier. Keep in mind, if that drops, don't beat yourself up. There's some really stupid bugs that happen that screw you over. And what level are we at now? We are at level 76. Wonderful. And let's check out Premier Air Charter and show you what we got going on here. Income we've had, company's balance, the expenses we've had. Hasn't been that bad. It was the price of the airplane and the maintenance that we have been doing. I'll also show you a little bit about that. If we go into all companies and go to manage company, we can go in here to the airplane itself and you can look at manage aircraft. And then here's your maintenance and the insurance. Here's the basics insurance I was telling you about, 530 credits per flight hour. Rather than this one or this one, salvage coverage at 100, not true. It's bugged out. Don't mess with it. Maintenance-wise, you can go into all of these systems. Now, I could do a updated check on these. You can wash the airplane. You can repaint it. It'll be the same color. You can't change the color of it yet. But over here on flight controls, fuel system, all this, you can click on it and you go to details. Each individual thing, it shows you the wear rate on it, the condition of it. So if you don't want to just, be like, hey, landing gear, check up, maintain it, it would just fix all of it. You can actually click on the landing gear itself, go to details, and you can manually fix and check up each individual item you want, which is really cool. I do like that. Going back, you can see here, we can go to buy aircraft, and what we are saving up for is a brand new Cessna. Where's it at? Caravan. Right here. Oh, that one's 3.74. No, we're not paying 3.7 for a brand new one. Used aircraft. And then, yeah, there it is. 1.6. It's been going up and down, but we're at 410,000. We need to save up to 1.6 mil so I can move on to the next thing I want to do, which is to own a Grand Caravan in the Premier Air Charter livery. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, showing you what winter ops are like. Don't be afraid of it. Just make sure that you take care of the cabin heat and that pitot heat. If you don't have those two on, you are going to run into some issues pretty quick. And also use your pilot knowledge and get out of those clouds as soon as you possibly can so you don't ice up the airplane. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.